Okay.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Joy Clicks. My name is Christian and today we were graced with the honor of witnessing Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay. This is the gameplay behind closed doors that was shown off at E3, at Gamescom, that everybody in the games industry, games media, professionals talked about, raved about, and we finally get to see it. Now, a lot of people sang the praises of Cyberpunk, but I have to say I was a little hesitant, but now, wow, I haven't felt this way about a game on its first showing, nonetheless, in a very long time. But that aside, today I want to talk a little bit about something we saw at the first few minutes of today's gameplay showing, and that is the character creation. Character creation for me is always something I put way too much time in. It's something I really care about when I'm making my character in an RPG. So today, CD Projekt Red decided to show off the very surface level of their character creation. But what stood out to me as someone who was interested in getting into the Cyberpunk tabletop game, I did create a character. The character creation for 2077 is almost one-to-one with the character creation for Cyberpunk 2020, the tabletop game. So because there are some similarities, I wanted to point those out as well as go over some of the character creation from the tabletop game, so that way we have an idea of what to expect for the in-depth aspects of when we design our V. First off, we have the male-female options, and that's what you would expect. That's the first step of a character creation. But moving forward, we have the background check, which is really where it gets very unique. This is exactly where it stood out to me that this is pulling heavily from the character creation for the tabletop game. So if we pause here, we can look through. There's several different charts. On the left side of the screen, it is really formatted like a D&D Cyberpunk character sheet. You have the icon of your character, you have their names, their gender, and on this side you have slots of things that will be filled in as you progress through the character creation. On the right side of the screen you see the backstory, and the backstory will fill in more personality traits about your character. The backstory of the childhood hero is something that may be fleshed out. This may be limited to 3 options just to have 3 very fleshed out paths for your character, because if we do look at all the options here, you have a handful, a decent amount, as a backstory. We see 3 of the Cyberpunk classes, being Samurai, Solo, and Corporate, listed at the childhood hero, so that might give us some bonus stats if we choose to be a samurai, a solo, or someone involved in the corporate world. Later in this demo, they mentioned that the V that the character was playing at the time of the demo recording is a solo, and a solo happens to be what I also picked for my character for the tabletop game. And solos are pretty much just mercenary warriors. They are hitmen, assassins, well-rounded in their training, and they have abilities to notice dangers, really assess scenarios, which we did see V prioritize with her new modification. We got a new scanner to assess environments better. The narrator also made it a point to say that classes are very fluid, which is great. You can experiment a lot with the different types of classes and playstyles that you want to have in your Cyberpunk playthrough. So in the Cyberpunk tabletop game, you have life events that occur once every year of your life, and they have varying different impacts on you, on your past. Some examples could be a love affair, a major psychosis or loss, nothing happening, conflicting backgrounds, issues with your family. So here we have 3 options to pick from. We have the death of sibling, the runaway from home option, or the first big kill. Now this is a video game that CD Projekt Red is developing, and they are putting what they want to put into our character creation. It's not like something where you have a blank piece of paper and a pencil where you can just write whatever life event you wanted to have for that year out of a suggested handful of options. So here we have some options. They are sort of stereotypical with a lonesome warrior, whatever you want to call V. And lastly is Why Night City. This, I really don't know what this would impact. Maybe the way your character interacts in conversations. Unfinished business means they're driven, something to prove means they're proud of themselves, and ex-lover in town means they're passionate. I don't know, it's interesting, and I want to see what that specific detail of your character creation will entail. Next up, they show lots of aesthetic and cosmetic options for customizing your character, which thankfully you'll be able to do constantly because people are constantly modifying their appearance, their bodies, and we get to see that later in this gameplay demo, which is awesome. But getting back to the character creation model they showed off, we do get more aesthetic options like clothing, makeup, piercings, tattoos, lots of different scars we can add on to our character. And lastly, what is very much in line with something like a Fallout or a traditional tabletop game are the stats. The stats are able to be divided between strength, constitution, intelligence, reflexes, tech, and cool, and it's awesome they decided to carry over the cool stat because the cool stat is really cool in the Cyberpunk tabletop game. It basically equals out to street cred, which they do touch on again later on in the demo when it comes to your clothes and how you present yourself to the world. The layout they have shown off doesn't necessarily represent the stats that should be prioritized for a specific class, although solos really should be prioritizing strength and reflexes. But that sums up the showcase of the character creator we saw for today's Cyberpunk demo. It is awesome to see them heavily drawing from the tabletop game in terms of the character creation and the options they supply you. I'm really interested to see if this is the final version of the character creator because, like I said, we have lots of options to explore when it comes to designing our character for the Cyberpunk 2020 tabletop game. And this is a video game, it's not like we can write up an entire backstory. We can't even name the character. So it makes sense to have limitations in here. I would not be surprised if this is the final version of the character creator in terms of the options they supply us. But all of that aside, they proved in the demo that the story of our character is going to rely heavily on our dialogue choices and actions in the world of Night City, not just the way we design our character from the get-go. So I'm very excited for Cyberpunk 2077. I loved today's gameplay showcase, so now I want to talk to all of you. Comment down below, let me know what you thought. I need to watch this thing at least 3 more times, there's so much detail in here. But are you excited for Cyberpunk? Were you curious about it before like I was, but now are you really into it? I want to know. Comment down below, and if you're new to JoyClicks, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any content coming up, be it Cyberpunk, Spider-Man, or some Nintendo stuff. Thank you all for watching, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, good vibes and good game.